These soldiers came all the way from the Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas to Pismo Beach, considered the amputee surf capital of the world, as part of a military program called Operation Comfort. An amputee himself, Rodney Roller is the director of Amp Surf.
I want to thank everybody for coming out here today, and I especially want to thank our soldiers for making it way all the way from San Antonio, Texas. Let's give a round of applause to our soldiers.
My name is Scott Dratwa. I'm a member of the Pismo Beach Longboarders here in Pismo Beach, and I got affiliated with Operation Comfort through a friend of mine, Rodney Roller, who is a local surfer. And Rodney, being an amputee, had started an alliance of amputee surfers, and he started a website called Amp Surf. Through Amp Surf, Rodney got an email from a soldier who was injured in Texas at Brooke Army Medical Center, and he used to be a surfer. So through their talking back and forth, Rodney offered him to come out to California to surf because Rodney was an amputee and he thought he could help him. As it progressed, we found out about Operation Comfort, which is a nonprofit that works out of San Antonio, Texas. To kick it off, Monday morning, we had a full Marine color guard, and really a very nice way to, benefit not just the guys here, but the guys that weren't able to be here. It was a really nice thing, and the excitement, everybody, the beach just was so crowded, and as we got the guys out in the water, I mean, you could just see people were lined up on the beach to watch what was going on. It was really fun. Here are some guys that are so adaptive. They've got to deal with their injuries, and one thing about Brooke Army Medical Center is they're really helping them to rehabilitate, and you're talking about life-altering injuries. But these guys just seem to adapt. The double amputees were out there in the water doing, after a few hours figuring out that they weren't going to be standing up, they said they'd do handstands. And both years we had a double amputee that was able to do a handstand on the surfboard. Just phenomenal.
Well, when the Billabong guys were trying to instruct them on the surfing and how to pop up, there was a couple of double amputees who were kind of like, well, what if you don't have legs? And to me, I laughed when I'm thinking, wow, he's got a really good sense of humor about this. But at the same time, these guys are like, I can do this on my own. I can do this. And it's same with being out in the water and them paddling and them popping up and getting back. Oh no, I can do this. And you would see them. I mean, they had more energy than most able-bodied people I know, and they didn't make any qualms, and if they couldn't get up on their board, they would find some way to make it work. One of them, king of the headstands. I mean, he couldn't stand up, but he could definitely do a push-up and get to his head. And so they basically just found any way they could to make it work, and we're stoked about it, and we're having a good time.
When we first started this, we weren't sure how it was going to be accepted. Some people politically, don't feel good about the war and all that. Well, that didn't seem to be the case. That just went by the wayside. We didn't have to even think about that. Everybody in this community stepped up. We actually had so many people wanting to volunteer that we almost had to turn people away. And how much can you put in a week's time? And that's just it. Everybody wanted to give these guys a barbecue or something.
And it's really cool because you watch this person who just, like I said, gets back from the war, they're recuperating, they've lost limbs, and they change so much. These are people who never see the water, and they get out here, and at first they're kind of like, I'm not sure if I can do this, but then once they get in the water, it just totally changes them, and they open up, and they go from the first day of not kind of know what's going on. Some put their wetsuits on backwards. We had a little couple things go awry, but basically by the middle of the week, these guys are out there before the volunteers are, getting out in the water and totally into it and talking to you and telling you their stories, and it's really a great experience. So,
you'd think these guys weren't going to be very capable in the water. Nah, they were fine. They were fine.
And I love seeing just the look on their face, because I can still remember the first time I paddled into a wave and actually stood up, and it was just like, no better feeling. It was really cool, and I feel the same way for them.
And a lot of them go home I think, as real surfers. You know, it's a lifestyle. Once you get that in your blood, you can't get rid of it. And there's actually several of them that went home with that feeling.
As you'd expect, these soldiers wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan take this kind of physical rehabilitation over working out in a stuffy gym any day. And be sure to watch for them again later this year.